a question that and this talk is it's called leadership and transformation, because leadership has a crucial role when it comes to transformation in organizations. So starting with you, and you may use the chat for this, I would like to know, what is your biggest leadership challenge right now? Uncertainty, get buy-in for change, scaling the transformation, or balancing speed and sustainability, or something else that you're facing, some other problem that you're facing. You can use the chat for that. And this is a safe space. Whatever you put on the chat, it just stays here. Motivation. Papia, do you want to elaborate a little bit more? Motivation from leadership?
Sorry, motivation from the team also. So trying to get them excited about the projects that we work on, you know, and essentially be excited about the day-to-day role.
What's come next? What's the difference? What's going to be in that for them? Getting buy-in for change.
Yeah, absolutely.
So seems like Papia and Binta have similar challenges, right? Is getting the buy-in to start the change.
That's right, yes. Very, very similar, and you kind of having to, most of the time, having to do a lot of convincing, learn a lot of sample demos, for instance, to see what can be achieved with the change that are being proposed. And yeah, I'm finding that quite tough, because you know, you're talking to different sort of type of audiences, and people, not in a bad way, but not everybody has got the same understanding of, you know, all the changes that are planned to be coming into the business. So yeah, that's my take on that.
Thank you. Dimitri, do you want to add anything?
Okay, like I said in my comment, there is like I'm an agile coach / scrum master. I'm in an organization for a few months, and here they have minimal knowledge about agile, or in general, a proper mindset for ways of work, etc. So my main channel is the buy-in, because in one hand they call you for transformation, but in the other hand they don't know what it is about, what they want, and there are of course lots of questions, what value they will gain, and there are various related challenges to this.
Thank you very much. So I live in the same world as you live. I'm also an enterprise coach. I work for a large financial institution, and getting buy-in, getting people. If you ask anyone in the organization if they want to change, they will go, yes, this is rubbish. This doesn't work. We need something different. When we actually ask them, okay, so let's change. Oh, that's a completely different conversation, okay? Because one thing is they really want something different, but they don't want to change anything. And often another of the things I find is that it's not only if people are tired of change, because probably before you, as before me, comes someone else that preach really well. They talk really well, but when it comes to actually implement something, nothing happened. It was cracking, do it, do this, do that, and little change. So people ask themselves, we do want to change, but what is in it for me? Why should I even try to change? If I change, because we often miss the why are we doing this? Why is that important? What is in it for people? Thank you, Rui. I would guess that you speak Portuguese, just like me.
That is correct.
So, and being an enterprise coach, living in the same world that you all live and facing the same challenges, that is one of the things why for me is so important. So today we're gonna talk, and this is what we will be gonna talk today: leadership evolution, and most of the things why old playbooks fail, why we came here. We try to do our best, and in the end of the day, we live with frustration and it's like, what am I doing wrong? Everything that we often believe, we start to doubt ourselves and about how good professionals are we if we cannot even implement change. I will share with you a story from a company where I worked before, about what happened, how was it successful, and some of the things I did there. Then we will talk about three pillars that I like to highlight when I'm working, and this is something that you can steal and use Monday, hopefully. And some practical patterns, and then a little bit of Q&A, but feel free to do Q&A as we go along. So leadership, and leadership, you don't need to actually be a manager or a C-level to be a leader, okay? Because leadership and management is two completely different things. You can be a leader and not be a high manager or a senior manager. And leadership is about being, instead of being the commander, and that is often what we see more when we have management or executives running the show, is more do this, do that, to be a conductor, so bringing people along in the journey. So what needs to change in leadership, and why is that so important? So in traditional leadership is planning everything up front. And it probably, if you join an organization like Dimitri did, is like, what are you gonna do? Give me the plan. How are we gonna change? What will be the outcomes? How can we do this? And people don't want to know the outcomes. They really want to know the output. And outputs and outcomes are completely different things, right? One is whatever you are doing. The other one is the goal, the business goal. How can we enable that? And the other thing is knowing all the answers. So when there is change, or we are conducting change in the organization, bringing new ways of working, different mindsets, we don't know all the answers. We wish we will, but there is always a known on our path, and there is risks. What is the risk? What can fail? How can we minimize the risk? What we can do to mitigate the risk? And the other thing is learn from failure. Because when we are doing a transformation or bringing change, not everything goes according to plan. The thing is learning from what was done, how can we improve, how can we use this to move forward. And the other thing is, if I have a plan and I present the plan to the organization, I must be right. And even if this goes all sideways, my plan was right from the beginning, okay? People are screaming and shouting and turning their heads around, and I don't want to go. And the thing is, we need to focus on the people, because transformation and change is not about the actions, is not about changing behaviors, is about changing mindsets. So it's not changing the process, it's changing behaviors, driving behaviors, and changing the mindset. That's why we need to be concerned about the people, and that is so important, the buy-in there. So if there is one thing today that you need to stop doing as a leader, what would that be? I can tell you one. For me, one of the things I struggle the most is delegation. And leadership, one of the characteristics is getting work done through others. Is not trust and verify, is sharing the goal, sharing the objective, sharing what is the outcome, and help others to actually flourish and grow. Because a leader doesn't create followers. Do you know what a leader does? Creates other leaders. Because it's the only way we can succeed is by empowering people. And when we create other leaders, we are doomed to success. If we are trying to create followers, commanding people, try to control what they do, we most likely will be stuck somewhere. So for me, my biggest challenge is delegation and be comfortable often without not knowing and extended that trust. I don't have any proof when I join a team or organization that they will do right. The thing is, I expect them to. And I make that very clear that I'll trust them. Because in the end of the day, it's not about me. And when I join an organization, I don't know if they say the same to you, but often to me, they say, we want to be agile. Do they say the same to you? I see you, Rui, saying yes. Dimitri is smiling.
Even words they say they are doing or being agile, but they are actually not as very, very little, let's say.
The
Not
thing
much.
is agility, because our salary is paying in money, right? We got paid in US dollars, euros, British pounds, whatever. And for the company to get money to pay salaries, they have business goals, right? And agility or working in an agile environment is a consequence of driving efficiency and effectiveness towards achieving their business goals. So when I join an organization and someone tells me, we want to be agile, good. I wish that too. Now, the question is, what do your clients want? What do you promise to deliver? What are your business goals? What is your vision? What are your OKRs or your KPIs or whatever you measure success? Because just saying that we want to be agile would not pay salaries, would it? Probably not. But if we can help them to achieve their business goals. So I need to understand, first of all, what are their business goals? And believe me, getting that from even senior leaders sometimes is not easy. Because they know what they want sometimes. Sometimes they just ask us because they see they focus in things they don't want. Oh, this team, they multitask a lot, they lose a lot of time. These ones have this, these ones have that. But no one can see or look to the future and say, look, imagine that your organization was running on fire, just running beautifully. How would the organization look like? Did you ever try to do this exercise with your leadership? If these teams that I'm working were the best teams in the organization, what we will be delivering to our clients? What will our clients be saying about us? How our product would look like? What would be able to achieve? And often, because getting rid of what they don't want doesn't bring them what they do want. So we need to know what they want. What is the goals? And that is a very difficult exercise to start with. So helping people to understand that we want to be agile and getting everybody to do Scrum and getting everybody to do this and do that probably won't be the best way forward. It might come to that. Even Scrum is an amazing framework. It might go to that, but if people are just doing it because they were told, they will get 5 more meetings or 6 more meetings on the top of the 50 meetings they already have. And people would go, no, I don't want this. These agile coaches, these Scrum masters just create new meetings for me. And here we are, right? Because we didn't look at their calendars. We didn't look at their goals. What can we do? So is there anything that you would be doing differently? It's up to you to answer. I will not be beating you on that. So I'm going to talk to you through a little case study. This happens to me before I joined the organization where I am today. I worked for a logistics company, and we had more than 200 people in IT. I was not working in the beginning with the 200 people. I was working in a small subset of it. As a logistics company, their distribution centers were running in Excel files. So Excel is a very powerful tool, believe it or not. They could run the whole organization on Excel. Nonetheless, they heard about an amazing tool called ClickView that would transform they could give them dashboards, real views. So they were really keen to move to that. The problem was they hired the people, they trained the people, and they were taking 10 to 12 months to deliver one dashboard. And I can tell you one thing, they would need more depending on they had a lot of distribution centers, and most of the distribution centers would need more than one dashboard, because there was dashboards about how fast things come in and out of the distribution center. There was a lot of data to get collected. They had all the data, they just couldn't visualize or improve their distribution centers. So what I observed in my side of it, and I went to visit a couple of distribution centers and talk to the managers there. What I see in my side was, so each distribution center manager would control one developer. And there was like, I want this, I want that, and this, and this, and that. And we didn't have a backlog. We had on that particular group that was developing this, we had around 50 people. And most of them were one business partner from one distribution center, a poor thing that gets his head smashed every day. So the thing is, this couldn't go on like that, because we will be looking at 5 years at least until we get the basics out there. People were working in silos, so project managers, business analysts, some high-paid contractors and developers in development, so they were bringing their skills and their knowledge about the tooling. They were all siloed. There was no code sharing. People wouldn't share experience with each other. So I decided to go a little bit on the crazy side. So I talked with my manager, the person that brought me in, and I told him, look, I will need something from you. And he told me, what is that? When I hired you, I knew something would come. And I was like, yeah, I need you to bring all the business partners, the distribution center managers together in one call. And believe me, they were very senior people. So I can tell you one thing, when I got them all together, at least around 90% of them, I should have around 20 because 20 people in the call. I didn't even check the phone book to see how many of them and where they were in the org chart. Otherwise, I might get scared and do not transmit my message correctly. So I was like, okay, this is make or break. First thing, tomorrow I will still have a job or not. If I still have a job, I have good chances to move forward. If I don't have a job, that's life. But the thing was, so we brought them all together and I present them what we were achieving. So I showed them, look, so far we are 1.5 years into it. We have a half-cooked website that cost a ton of money. And we do have some dashboards. Some distribution centers have 1, 2 dashboards. Some have none. The thing is, I believe that we most likely would like to have at least basic dashboards across all the distribution centers in things that are common to all of you. I know that, and I open a can of worms. I know that you have different needs because you have distribution centers like Heathrow that is massive, and they have a distribution center in Cornwall that was a tiny, tiny one. So, of course, Heathrow will have a different need from Cornwall. That makes perfect sense, right? The thing is, they had basic things they all need. So I asked them that what I need from them was their top 5 priorities from all the distribution centers, all the senior management in the call. They need to send me or ask someone to send me their 5 top priorities, what they need to see, what were the goals, what they need to achieve with the dashboard. It's the 5 most important things. After a few questions, and we actually bought those 5 priorities, we interact with them, we could get them organized. And one of the conversations is if, and this is something that we say sometimes as a joke, if you cannot have one baby, even if you bring 9 women together, you cannot have a baby in 1 month, right? Because things take the time they need. Nonetheless, we can actually, in this case, optimize resources because having one developer working in each one. And the thing was, I didn't tell them about agility. I didn't tell them about Scrum. I didn't tell them about product owners or product backlogs. I told them what I needed from them and hear their concerns. So we found out what was the major concerns from them internally with the teams. We organized the teams, we organized the backlog, worked with some people and to understand what was, and there was already some knowledge in the team already about the most common functionalities. The team internally need to work with each other, okay? Because, if I work A, I work B, someone delivers a dashboard, gets clappy, clappy, clappy from senior management. So the team understanding, each team understanding that they need to work together as a team, share code, teach each other, reutilize what others did, build on top of what was done. So that was essential. And we did that with some games, not sitting them on a classroom and teaching them Scrum. That wouldn't work. So we did some games about how can they as a team achieve better. And I can talk a little bit about that in the end if you want to know. But the thing is, engineer managers actually gave the example. They start to work with the team as mentors, creating common repositories, helping the team to share code, share insights, share new things. So the managers, the engineering managers actually led the way. And when we establish a cadence of every 2 weeks, we will call all our business partners from the distribution centers to see what was delivered that week, what we were building. And, they came, they gave feedback, we hear them, we actually update whatever we need to do for the next iteration and bring them along. So the thing is, they realized that they had real influence on the outcomes. And they realized another thing, that instead of chasing someone, they had me to talk, and we improvised someone to act as a product manager, even though didn't have the role, but was a person with really good communication skills and understanding well what was needed. So that person would shield the team. You know what was the question that the team asked me when we ran the first time they were working as actually a team? Who's going to tell us what we're going to do next? Like, this is the list of priorities. You tell me from this list what we're going to get in the end of these 2 weeks. That's up to you. It's not up to me. I'm not writing the code. So they started to deliver that feedback, that input. So I can tell you one thing. We started, instead of having 10 to 12 months to deliver one dashboard, after 6 weeks, a little bit more than a month, dashboards start to go out. They were functional. They were not the big dashboards they want to see in the end, but they start to see what they need. And they would ask, oh, we have this and this, but we also need to know this, and we also need to know that, and we also need to know. So we start to get that feedback and improving that feedback along the way. So this, and instead of having this isolated individuals, they start to work as a team. They came together as a team to present their work. It was not me doing the presentations every 2 weeks. And you know what? There was a serious conversation about in the management side, because we need visibility. We need to tell people this is what we do. We need everybody to know that. So in the next town hall, that small group of 50 people got a big shout out, and got a big shout out from senior leadership. So instead of me preaching around, I'm very good doing agile. I get people come in and ask my manager and myself, how are you doing this? We want to have, we got the gold star on the town hall. So people were like, oh, they must be doing something different. So this is how we did it. So these things, instead of pushing change into people, we actually started here. And believe me, it was the worst place possible. And after working 1.5 years in something, people don't want to scrap the work. So, and there was a lot of bad and technical, how can I say this? Technical mortgage there. So they need to pay that back. So we needed to bring that up to speed slowly and we cannot go and say, you spend during this year and a half this amount of money, this team, and we need to scrap all of that. No, there needs to have different conversations, and leadership is understand. They understand money, they understand business value. So we had the conversation that some of those things need to be redone, so this could be incorporated, but the thing is, we got demand for our work. I was the first agile coach. When I left, there was already 6 working separately in different parts of the organization. So, any questions, comments? I'm South European. I can talk my whole day. So, 3 pillars framework. And this is not a change framework as you are probably heard about Cotter or ADKAR or something like that. This is something that I believe has been successful for me, proving successful so far. So that's why I am sharing it here. First of all, why? Why are we doing this? No one will hire an agile coach because they want to do Scrum. They're hiring an agile coach or a leader, whatever you are in your career. And I don't know what the other of you do, but it's like they won't hire anyone to do Scrum. They hire because the business is not going the way they want to be, or they don't have the visibility they want to have, and they need someone to help them out. So why am I here? Why this business needs to change? What are the drivers for this business to change? And then there is something about clarity. Make the invisible visible. You cannot improve what you cannot measure. So math is not my core skill, but I can tell you one thing. I love metrics. I love to prove that things are going better. Being product metrics, productivity metrics, whatever. I need to understand, because if I have a goal, if I have an OKR or a KPI, I need to know what it is. I need to know where I'm going, and I need to know the progress towards that. In between, I have blockers, I have dependencies, I have a bunch of things that can stop me, and I need to measure those too. I need to know where they are. I need people to collaborate to solve them. And create psychological safety. Why is this? I don't know if you ever worked in an organization where everything is green. The RAG status, red, amber, and green. Everything is green until someone shouts red. And the thing is like a wildfire because everybody's polishing things and all of a sudden. So if it's not going well, it's better to tell straight so we can learn from it, make it better, and do not have. So everything that is not going well or is not going as planned, that's why we have metrics. We know the dependencies, we know the blockers, we know. And there is something that usually in teams when I join, no one loves: retrospectives. People don't like that. They think it's a waste of time. I don't want to do that. I have code to write. I have this to do. I have that to do. And retrospectives is the key to move forward. And we don't need to do fancy. We need to know what can we do better. What is blocking you? What is stopping you from achieving? If you could do one thing different. I used to do in this organization, we do quarterly planning with everybody in, and we always do a big retrospective to understand what can we do different next quarter. And that drives most of the change actions. And in the next quarter, I have everybody in. Of course, there needs to have follow-up. It's not an easy process, but I will be here more than 1 hour describing that for you. So these retrospectives, whatever you want to call them, are essential to learn what you can do different. And decentralized decision making. Decision making needs to be done close where the things are happening, because we know that if a decision is made very up here, they have no clue what is happening in the ground. So most likely they will be misguided. So helping to decentralize that type of decision. Feedback loops, customer teams, metrics, everybody needs to be involved everywhere. We need to know what is happening, what are people feeling, and design experiments, not projects. Because if I have a team that something is happening over there, we might, like what I did in the logistics company was an experiment. Look, I need to get everybody together. I need to understand what they want, and we take it from there. And did we run into troubles? Yes, we did run into troubles a couple of times. But you know what? Those troubles were easily surfaced. One of them was we are not scrapping the whole thing. We had too much money invested in there. Some of the things we had, we need to build things on the side so they could work better, because some people left the organization already. And if we weren't able to actually create these feedback loops and helping people, when things start to go well and they saw the dashboard shooting out of the door, oh, we could have everything we want. Before that, there was a lot of talking, a lot of conversations, and we need to prove. So running the experiments, small things, make it visible, make the work visible. What is in your pipeline? What is getting out there? If you don't do that, you cannot prove your worth. Okay? If I'm in an organization, I don't write code. I'm not a product manager who manages what will bring benefits. So if I cannot make the organization run smoothly, I have no use for them, right? So it's very, very important that the work we do as leaders is really important. Make it visible to everybody. So transparency is the key. And the worst part, or the most difficult part, is we are dealing with other human beings. So understanding their emotional journey. Create champions. You know, there are that people that just get it. You talk with them, they say, yes, this is really that. Those are your best friends, okay? Because they are peers of the ones that don't want it. So if we can make this one that really wanted and is committed succeed, we are creating demand for our work. These people need to be empowered, have a say. They will drive the work, because the work is not done by me, it's done by these champions in the field. Celebrate learning. Even when things don't go as well as we thought they would, we learn something. And that is not celebrating failure. Oh, we didn't succeed. It's like we did learn this, and that. Sharing that with the organization probably solve problems in other parts of the organization where they are having the same troubles, and we found a solution for them. Investing in coaching and capacity building. Coaching is key, and coaching is a skill set. It's about active listening, powerful questions, presence. Be present in the time with the people. Use your leader, because if you ever been in a leadership program, you know that soft skills are the key for a good leader. And coaching skills are actually very, very important. If you don't listen, what is happening, you cannot ask questions. If you don't listen, you don't know what is happening around. And if you don't connect with people, you will never know what they feel about what is happening in the organization. Needs to be intentional? Yes. Is time consuming? Yes. Does it pay off? Oh, yes, it does. Remember or think about a minute the last time where you talk with someone and that person really heard you, what you were saying. Can you pinpoint that? If it was easy to have people that listen to us, the world will be different and I wouldn't have a job. So, but either ways, my job is make myself out of my job. So which pillar is the weakest one in your organization? 1, 2, 3, or 4. Clarity, adaptive, humans, or all of them need work. Clarity in chaos, all of them need work. So these are the 3 pillars that I was talking about. Create clarity, dashboards, metrics, whatever we are doing. The structures we put in place, they need to be adaptive because we are not changing governance process. We are changing behaviors and mindsets. Because if we come and change just the process, as soon as we let our hands out, people will revert to whatever they were before because that is comfortable. So I will then, someone said that I can then share I can ask them to share the slides and the recording with all of you. Start small, learn fast. What is the problem? What is the solution? Choose a pilot, prove your worth. Try to change the whole organization at once. Might work, but probably all parts of organization have different problems. So if you can start to understand learning and grow and, creating demand for your own work, not cracking the whip saying you must do that. If we are successful in one department, everybody wants to be successful. So curiosity will bring, then it's up to you and your leadership skills to harness that. Small focus, create OKRs for yourself, KPIs, whatever you measure success on, but measure it. Pull, not push. Mandated changes create resistance. Addressing problems and addressing the biggest pain points on people creates movement forward. Creating fear of missing out. If someone is doing well, everybody wants to do well. It's your time to shine. And if you are doing something good happening, people will ask, why? What they are doing? How can I get in? And then is invest in coaches, not in consultants. And coaches is part of your leadership, those coaching skills. Because someone that doesn't believe in your organization, doesn't have stakes in it, the knowledge goes with them. Build internal capacity. People can help with the transformation. They are in your organization. They just need to have the right skills to do it. And this is where it comes the pitch for sales. So in CAL, we hope, and DCAL is one of the only trainings I do because I truly believe that can make the change. Can help leaders to get the coaching skills and the leadership skills. Managers to get the leadership skills they need to bring transformation to the organization. Now, I would like you to tell me one thing. What are you gonna implement from the things we talked so far? There is only one thing If you were in the retrospective and you say, tomorrow I'm going to do this different, what that would be? If you don't want to put it on the chat, pen and paper, write it down. What can you do different? Because that is what will make the difference. So some traps: transformation is not a project, it's a journey. Underestimating emotional labor of change is difficult to change. People won't do as they were told. They need to get by then. Copying frameworks around, copy paste from mostly won't get you there, because the problems they had, learning frameworks is great, okay? Because you have a lot of options to try. Now, copy paste, I have my doubts. And remember, you need to roll the behaviors you want to see. You need to be a role model for your organization. If you are bringing change, you need to not only talk the talk, but walk the walk. Be there with them in the trenches. You and all the others. So leaders need to understand the deep level, not only know the framework. Coaches and leaders that can navigate organizational politics and culture. We didn't talk that, but that is a big part of it. Ability to scaling practices without losing the essence. Not make it like a cookie cutter. Skills in facilitating change, not just talking about that like parrots. Have boots on the ground. And one of the things that really, really helps is communities of practice. When people are learning, let them share their gainings and their winnings with the other people in the organization. Communities of practice can have many forms. So, and this is what CAL can do for you, and hopefully myself. So CAL 1 is more about you as a leader. Is more about the mindset, the skills that you need as a leader. CAL 2 has more with changing management frameworks, organizational structure, is more about transformation and recognizing the structures in our organization. Why is this? So is a globally recognized certification, and CAL brings you access to a community of people, like-minded people that would most likely will share their learnings with you. And if we ever got better, you always need to get a mentor. So finding mentors in the community will definitely help you. Comments, questions. You let me talk straight through it, so. Two things: or I'm very good and you are very interested, or I put you all to sleep. You tell me. Any final comments before we close the session?
For me personally, too, I think it was a very good consolidated summary regarding transformation. I don't have much experience with transformation. For myself, I saw that the last few months that I'm doing a transformation, that all of these pretty much comply with what I'm trying to do, and I think I will use it as a guide for further, for moving further on.
Thank you, Dimitris. One of the things that always helped me was the community out there. I always try to learn from others, because I know that by myself, I won't succeed. So that's why the Agile community is so well known, and it calls a community. Thank you very much. I hope this helps you. I know Erkana, there is someone, Erkana is here still. Can I share the slides with you and then you share it with everybody? Hopefully so. If she's talking, she's still on mute. I will, if you want, I can probably try to share my slides. Actually, let me see if I can share them in the chat. Any final questions while I wait for the slides to get in? Let me see if I can.
I do have a question actually. What I have no much clue about is about OKRs. I don't have experience and the roadmaps in general. How much value do you think you give to this? I mean, I know it's having a long-term plan ahead and also to measure the success or not. How much important you think this is to know and to implement, to use?
I can tell you, for me, it's very, very important. Whatever you use, OKRs, KPIs, it's very, very important that you know how good looks like and you have a measure it for it. Okay. Thank you, Rui. Is if you want to try to download it, is on the chat to download the presentation. So it's very, very important, because if you don't have goals, you don't have progress. It's very, very difficult. So understanding what is the organization goals, what you are supposed to do, and be able to measure your work towards the goals and actually the progress of the organization towards that goal is really important. So educating yourself. There is a book called, it's a very small book, How to Measure Almost Everything, I guess is the name of the book. Is a very small book that actually gives you really good insights on OKRs and stuff. I will be putting out there an OKR, a micro credential on OKRs. There is a 4-hour training. So I know Simpliaxis is a Scrum Alliance thing, and Simpliaxis is working on putting those out there. It won't make you an OKR expert, okay? But will give you a solid foundation how you should look to actually build those. And sometimes it's about the organization having goals, having metrics, having something they can actually measure their progress, and that will make all the difference, because they can actually see movement forward. Any other questions, comments? So thank you all very much for coming. I hope I will see you soon. I hope you join one of my classes in the future, and you can always join me on LinkedIn, and I'm always available for a good chat.